gentleman who used AI to argue with me on what clothing he should buy.
To talk about who this guy is. So I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a top U.S. Department of Energy engineering official who became a key whistleblower against Bechtel National.
I love soap.
Okay. Well, hello, guys. Welcome back to the Menswear Mindset podcast. I'm sorry it's been 4 years because we've been on a desert island. And if you don't understand that joke, you'd have to go back and see the episode that we most recently did in 2022, talking about what we would wear on a desert island. Hi, I'm Austin Robertson, your co-host. I am a shop manager at the Man Shop in Arlington, Texas, and I also have an Instagram page by the name of Gentleman's Avenue, and I help men dress with excellence. And I'm here with my good friend, Louis Jaramita. Louis, tell the people about you.
Yes, thanks for giving us that little intro and for the exquisite joke. For those of you who don't know, Austin was very proud of that joke. He's been waiting to unleash it here on the podcast, and I thought it was rather timely and well executed. So, big round of applause from me.
I spent tens of minutes working on it.
Yes. That's pretty much what his whole day was devoted to today. But I'm Louis Jaramita. I have the account Aspiring Gent, as well as the men's clothing store Primo Tailoring that we've been running for about 6 years now. And been in the industry for about 10, and me and Austin have been doing this podcast for, well, we took, like you said, a long break, but we started it, how long ago
2019.
Did we start this thing? 2019. Whew. If only baby Austin and baby Louis knew then how things would change after that first.
So technically
episode.
This podcast is getting pretty close to a decade-year old.
Yeah.
Not continuously, but it's getting close.
Well, it doesn't matter. Everybody says people stop after like their 10th episode or something. We stopped, but not permanently. So I feel like we are better than most podcasters out there.
It was a hell of a timeout.
Yeah. But I guess outside of the desert island joke, tell us a little bit what Austin has been doing for the last 4 years.
Excuse me. Well, a lot has happened. I got married. I have a son, a 4.5-month-old son now. And I would say digital footprint has definitely increased exponentially since 2019. Both Louis and I kind of capitalized on Reels absolutely taking off because that's really when our pages started taking off. So I hate calling myself a creator, but that's really a part of who I am. And I try to use that to bring people to my shop and also to be a point of inspiration to people who either want to get into the industry or want to learn how to dress with excellence. That's my tagline that I use all the time. So my page has blown up a little bit. And I'm not saying this.
We're still waiting for Austin to grow up.
That's never going to happen. But I think something that's kind of funny, and I don't say this out of any point of jealousy. I'm so proud of like where you've gotten. But I started posting on Reels before Louis did, and my page.
Is that true?
Yes. So.
Can we fact check that?
I started posting more consistently on Reels than you did. That may be a little bit more factual, but my page started to blow up. And at one point, I think I was about at maybe like 50,000 when you were at 20,000. And then I've never broken 100K. And Louis is like at 220 or something like that now. So anyway, it's been so cool to see how we've both blown up and use the great platforms that we have to share our passion, because we're really passionate. We're young guys in the industry. I mean, the specific industry that we're in is men's specialty retail, and there's not a lot of young guys knocking on the door to get into this industry. But it's really beautiful because you meet a lot of fascinating people, and you get to connect and build relationships and friendships, and it's been really special. And to be able to talk to somebody virtually every day like Louis and think, hey, how can we make this industry better? I mean, with AI, coming down the pipeline, not coming down the pipeline, it's here. It's been here for a while. But how can we integrate AI into our business without sacrificing the one-on-one interactions that we have? So coming up with different ideas, I've been traveling a lot more, going to the Chicago Collective, the men's shows, which has been really special. And it's been really good. So hopefully in the next couple of years, I'll take over the shop. That's been the goal since really day one. And the rest is TBD, to be determined.
1 second.
Okay.
That'll just help me sync everything.
Okay.
Well, thanks for kind of enlightening us on your happenings. I'm going to stop fact-checking your real comment because there's just too many on here. So if anybody listening has an abundant amount of free time, I would like to know who posted the first reel, Austin or Lewis.
I'm pretty sure
I would put
I
money
did.
on it that it was me, because little do many people know, I had myself a TikTok career that was built around dancing, actually. Before
lying.
I am. I don't
Absolutely
have any of the
lying.
proof. I don't have any of the proof anymore. But I have.
So why are you even bragging about this right now?
Well, it's not a brag. It was very embarrassing. I had a bunch of drafts on my TikTok of me trying to do TikTok trend dances. I think I might have shown you one at one point, and it was so bad. It was so white guy corny. But I thought that was going to be my way into the social media game. And I was like, forget about fashion. I was doing that for years. I was like, I'm going to try this whole dancing thing. It didn't work.
Well, TikTok really started off with that of just a lot of young girls getting on this app and just dancing to different sounds and music. And I felt weird getting on that because I'm like, it's a lot of young girls, especially like high school and minor girls dancing. I feel creepy getting on this. But then it started expanding to another platform to express yourself. So it's funny how it's like, oh, it's the dancing platform. And you're like, no, you have no idea. So it doesn't surprise me that was part of your start into the industry.
Well, I feel like, and this I might be able to fact check, and if we feel really fancy in editing, maybe pull it up on the video side of this podcast. I have to remember to keep talking into the mic. But my very first reel to like go viral, if you will, not real, TikTok, was me like doing a trend with like Chick-fil-A. Was the first video that went viral, which is why I think I posted first, because I was posting what I thought was comedy stuff on TikTok when it first came out. And then when that actually it started to go pretty well very early on. And then I transitioned into Reels kind of when that happened. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Austin made a claim. I'm not letting it die. A very passive remark Austin made. Lewis is like, I'm going to die on this hill. But anyways, where have I been? Like Austin too, social media got a little bit busier for me. A lot of that content kind of took priority. I think it was around the time that my business started taking more of like a shape in the context that it is now. So it's a retail store with custom clothing, alterations, and off-the-rack retail that we kind of started taking a bit of our pause, because that's when life for me just went nutso. And for the better part of 5 to 6 years now, I've been running that business, which we have been very blessed and fortunate to see grow from me and 2 employees to, and making, I don't even remember how much we made our first year, maybe 100,000 to now 6+ employees, hopefully on track to about $500,000 this year. So that's been the bulk of my busyness, has been built around the actual running of that business, as well as keeping up with social media, having a kid, all of that stuff.
Well, you've expanded into adding another location in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah. So starting a location down there. That's also why I've been very infrequent on my other social media platforms, let alone podcast, because Austin's extremely busy. I'm extremely busy. Trying to find a time for both of us to sit down for an hour to talk. Most of our communication nowadays is like 5 minutes, and then it's like Austin's like, got a customer, gotta go. Or I'm like, oh, someone just walked in, gotta go. Or we've got an issue at work, gotta go.
Or my personal favorite is when we stay on FaceTime, like either an AirPod is in or we just put the phone down and we can hear the conversation in the background and then we comment on it later like, oh, that was a fascinating interaction that you just had.
That would actually be a fun format for the podcast, is just like recording our 5-minute clips of talking and then just editing them all together to a coherent podcast. We're like in different outfits, different environments every 5 minutes. But anyways, that's what I've been doing. Trying to keep this ship on track a little bit.
So for those of you, again, this is a semi-introduction episode, but we're going a little bit deeper and talking. It's shop talk. We're talking about our industry, what makes it special and what makes it enjoyable. So as you were talking, I thought, oh, well, this is a good idea for a good conversational piece. So what has been your most unique customer experience within the last, let's say the last quarter? Three, it could be 6 months if you wanted, so like the first part of the year, but like fairly recent. What's been the most unique, interesting, memorable, if you will?
I will say probably the one that I've brought up to you a little while ago that I think would also be a good segue on maybe a topic for today, and that was the gentleman who used AI to argue with me on what clothing he should buy. He had done his own research, and I applaud him for taking an interest and being interested, because using AI to learn more about himself and his style is what brought him into the shop in the first place. So in that part of the story, good job, AI. Thank you very much for bringing him into the shop. He was a pre-existing customer, so it's not like he found us on there, but regardless, he's here. But then when we start talking about the clothing that he needed for what he wanted to achieve, he wanted to have a not so shiny of a fabric, and he wanted it to be a very kind of boss-esque CEO looking. He does more blue-collar stuff, but he owns the business. And so I recommended what I think would be the perfect choice, your blues, your light blues, that kind of stuff. But AI had a different opinion. It had told him it needed a different set of colors. And those colors that I will not name because I don't want to reveal too much about the situation, were probably my three least favorite shirt colors for anybody to wear it at any time. But for some reason, AI thought that these were the colors for him, and this is what he needed to stick with. So when I pushed back, he got onto his phone and started telling AI what I was saying, waiting for its response, and then giving me its response. So I was literally going back and forth with him and AI to try and convince him that what he needs is what I was offering. He didn't. I actually haven't been able to follow up with him since. Our sales guy ended up finishing all that with him.
Interesting.
But that's probably my most recent unique experience. I'm not even going to say that it was a bad experience, because I think that that's going to be a more reoccurring situation we're going to have to deal with, is because with people being able to upload their face and do a color analysis and type in very detailed stuff about their life, AI is going to be a part of wardrobe creation. But it's just the fact that it was bad advice, and trying to pull that out of his head of like, AI is not always giving you the best advice. Trust me. Was the weird part of like, okay, we're going to have to try and navigate this world a little bit differently, because it's not just, oh, this article told me this. Okay, articles don't know all about your interpersonal life like AI can now.
And I think that's an interesting conversation about AI, is that so many people, number one, because we're all glued to our phones, and we've become a little too dependent on AI and thinking, oh my gosh, it's the end all be all. It gives me all the answers. Well, all it is just an amalgamation of all the information put together, and it creates a landing point, really. And I think it is good. Like, I use ChatGPT, and I've done this for clients who, they'll look at a cloth. Like, we have thousands of cloth at the shop. And they'll go, well, can I see that made up? No, we don't have that made up. So I can use ChatGPT and say, like, hey, and use the caveat, hey, it's going to be it's going to be a rough draft. It's not going to be exactly like what you're thinking, but it's going to give you an idea, which is really helpful. But I think that's what's special about what we do as being a men's specialty retailer, is that we are building that relationship with somebody. We're reading their facial cues. We're being human in front of them, figuring out what they truly like and what they don't like. And we're building that relationship that a computer never can. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how a lot of other men's specialty retailer stores will pivot, if that's actually going to be something that they can truly explain why the computer is giving them wrong information and build a proper information and build a proper wardrobe with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what we need to do, not only as men's stores but as creators, is figure out how does AI use our material as the source for the guy to use. When it says, I recommend these 3 colors, and then it links its sources underneath, it should say gentlemanavenue.com, aspiring gent, primotailoring.com recommends this stuff. So it's kind of gamifying it so that when somebody goes into another store, what I would like is for any of you menswear store owners is for somebody to come into your store and argue with you over AI because of an article it read from me. That would be my end goal that I would like, not wherever it got this idea that burgundy is the best shirt color for anybody. Like, name one guy that's like, you pull off that burgundy shirt marvelously.
Yeah.
I can't think of one, but
interesting.
Sorry, I've said too much. I wasn't supposed to say that.
No, you're good. I feel like you got on your soapbox there a little bit, which is good because that's going to happen in this podcast.
I love soap.
Okay. That's going to be something that's good to clip. I love soap, and that's it. 1 million views right there.
But how about you, Austin? What do you think a recent experience was? Sorry, I'm looking up a Chrome extension because I had an idea.
Okay.
But go ahead. What was one of your more recent fun customer stories?
So I actually had, and I pulled up an article to better, and I'm actually using an AI overview to talk about who this guy is. So I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a top U.S. Department of Energy engineering official who became a key whistleblower against Bechtel National Incorporated regarding their management of a multi-billion-dollar waste treatment plant of the Hanford nuclear site in Washington State. And as he and I were talking, this thing was like made national news and everything. So this guy wasn't trying to hide it. And you'll probably find out his name if you do find this interesting enough to look this up. But he apparently he said you can actually sue a company on behalf of the United States, but you basically become the recipient of winning the lawsuit or something like that. It was really interesting how he described it. But he was talking about how this like waste treatment plant wasn't doing things properly and how it ostracized him in the industry, but he ended up winning the lawsuit. And he said that there were people that he considered friends that turned on him, which was really fascinating. But he had even asked me, and the reason why it really stuck out is he asked me, how'd you get in this industry? And a little bit more backstory of how he got here. So he had been looking up a lot of different places, and he lived 100 miles away. And he looked this up, and he said, it's so hard to find a men's clothing store because I called all these men's clothing stores. I said, what's your average price of a suit? And he goes, some people were saying $300, $500, maybe $600. And when he called me, our average off the rack price for a suit is about $1,500. For custom, it's about $2,800 to almost $3,000. That's just kind of the average of what our clients go to. Excuse me. And when I told him that, he goes, okay, that sounds interesting. He set an appointment, came in, start showing him some stuff. And the reason he came in, because we were more expensive, is he said his son went to Tom Ford, and he said his son was a model for Abercrombie & Fitch. And he said that he bought a suit for $6,000, and he wanted to show his son that he could buy a better quality suit for less than what he bought it. And his suit that he ended up going with is hand-padded, fully handmade, full canvas, beautiful cloth, Italian cloth 160s, 2-ply, will drape amazing. But number one, he ended up spending about probably about $7,000 to $8,000 with me first time he's ever come in. And it wasn't about the price, because, I mean, the suit he bought was over $3,000, and there was a shirt that he wanted, fully handmade, Giza 45 cloth, beautiful cloth, fully handmade. That ended up being retail about $1,200 because we had to rush it and everything like that. Well, as we're talking about all these different things, and if you hear something in the background, it's raining and there's a thunderstorm, so don't be worried. But he had asked me, hey, how'd you get in this industry? Well, I got to tell him my testimony. And part of my testimony is I got into this industry because I heard the term, when you dress for success, you will feel so much better. Dress for success, look good, feel good, all these terms. And I told him how I got into this industry because I was bullied in the church I was growing up. So that's how I found this passion for clothing. Started telling him about how the Lord called me into this industry, not to like force the Bible down people's throats, but build relationships with people and care for people and tell them that I'm using this tool of communication, which that's all clothes are. It's a tool of communication. And I want it to speak well for people before words even leave their mouth. And he was also a believer, and we started talking about theology. We talked about Christ for 2 hours before we even started working on clothes. So he came in at like 10 or 10:30, and he didn't leave until like right at 2. So it was almost a full 4 hours. And it was just so unique. And he goes, man, the Lord called me here. And that's what's so cool. And I deal with people who have different political beliefs, different lifestyles, different faith stances, different, like we may, like I'll talk to someone who's Catholic. I'll talk to someone who's Protestant, whatever this is. I like asking those questions that nobody else would ask because I want to get to know who that person is. I want to know why you stand on what you believe. We don't have to agree on everything, and I'm not there to challenge, but I want to know who you are. And he and I got to talk about things, and the majority of stuff that we landed on, we agreed on. And there were some things that we didn't agree on, but we realized that, you know what? The Lord called you in here. The Lord blessed me with a great sale. The Lord blessed him with a great experience. And it was really unique. And that's something I'm definitely never going to forget.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like for me, it's just like a reminder of how working with the right clients often is better than working with the most clients.
Yep.
Like I would rather have probably like a quarter of my customers gone and all of my interactions to be like people like that I'm in line with, that I love talking to, that I could just talk to for 2 hours before I even talk about clothing, than having some of the customers that are the headaches that I have today. And so that's awesome that you have somebody come in and I mean, obviously I find it very important to be able to share your testimony through your clothing, because as men of faith, that is our number one highest calling. And
absolutely.
We should find ways to wrap that into our everyday vocation, if you will. Yeah. But yeah, when you can connect with any guy on that level and you're just like, dude, like, I just found my new like fishing buddy kind of a deal. That's a good thing. And something that I'm trying to instill in some of our team is like, not every deal, not every customer is a good customer we want. You got to throw some back. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So when does this stuff come in? Oh, go ahead.
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I think he said his thing isn't until September, maybe late August. I got to double check. Thanks for the reminder. But we're still good on time. But, you know, this is a good point that you bring up. So in our industry, there are really two modes of business that you'll find that other men's shops are in. You're either volume or you're margin. Neither is bad and neither is best. It depends on what's best for you. So we're a part of a buying group, and there's this one guy who absolutely kills the rest of us. I'm pretty sure in numbers, like gross sales, because he has so much volume. Well, I think he said his average price for a suit is like $600 to maybe $1,000.
You're right. He says gross sales.
Yeah, that is gross. But he sells, I think he said like 3 to 4 suits per person, and like 2 or 3 shirts to go with each. Like the UPT must be absolutely astronomical with those salesmen. But he is volume. He's selling a lot of units and pieces. So the margin might be small, but over time, because he's selling so much, he's still selling a good amount. That's his business model. Well, on the flip side, you'll find people who they're selling less. There's less tickets, but the margin is higher because it's either more luxurious, exclusive, whatever that is. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it depends on what you want to be known for and truly what you're passionate about. I think for us, we're somewhere in the middle. You know, I'm speaking for my shop, because we, on some things we take higher margin, some things we take a lower margin, but we're very fair. Whenever we're planning out our prices, we don't want to knowingly take advantage of somebody, but we also know that we have to keep the lights on. So it's an interesting balance. Like, we just brought on Tecovas, and Tecovas boots are great, and we thought it would be great for FIFA. People are down here and they're celebrating, you know, the amazing sport that soccer is, or football as people call it. And we thought, hey, come in and get some boots and stuff like that. Well, the margins aren't really great, but it is a cowboy boot, and we're in Texas, so we kind of need it. But again, that goes back to service. And at the end of the day, we're still service and hospitality. It's not purely sales. It's like, that's part of it. But in the specialty retail, like, you are service. You are hospitality. The stuff that we do for our clients, the majority of other big box stores would never even consider.
Well, and that's just kind of the thing is, again, there's nothing wrong with volume versus price point.
Yep.
But obviously, why not do price point at volume? That would be a good way to work.
That would be the best. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like, to me, it's just like so much more work. It's like, would you rather push one huge rock up a hill or run a bunch of medium-sized rocks up and down the hill until you have the same amount of weight?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be exhausted, one big push, get the guy into it, than like constantly be going up and down that hill for another rock.
Yep.
Like, sure, I mean, it's viable. People do it all the time. The $600 to $1,000 suit market is alive and well.
Yep.
But it's like, do you want to try and convince a guy on 3 suits when you can convince him on 1 suit?
And honestly,
that's the same price as 3 suits?
You're unintentionally, and maybe even intentionally, if this is something that's one of your core values, you are teaching and preaching sustainability. And you're saying buy less, but buy better. Because let's be honest, we know that a $500 to $600 to $700 suit, more than likely about 99% of the time, is not going to be great. The suit that's going to be closer, like above $1,000, okay, you know you're actually getting a better cloth. You know you're getting a better make. You know you're getting something that's actually not held together with, you know, glue and fusing. You're actually getting a properly made garment, and it's not going to be made with child or slave labor.
The slave labor part is huge, but do you actually use the line of it being more sustainable to people these days?
Not really. I mean, I don't even bring it up because the majority of our clients don't necessarily care about it. I think for a lot of millennials and Gen Z, that generation, they were very interested in, or they are very interested in sustainability, and that's why a lot of them thrift. They, you know, beginning to buy small things like that, but that's not necessarily a primary focus when it comes to sales. I mean, unfortunately, it became a buzzword really quick, and it lost its true meaning.
Yeah, I used to preach that from the rooftop because it is true. I mean, you buy right, you can buy less, and it's more, and it actually wears in over time. It doesn't wear out. You're not just throwing
buy once,
it
cry
away.
once.
But I've just noticed the amount of people that just don't care.
No, they don't.
Like, the only way that really works is it's sustainable on a guy's finances, because I'm like, buy this one suit and you're good for the next 25 years instead of buying a new suit every 4 years. Mm-hmm. And they really like that reasoning. But when it comes down to, sustainability, we're not adding to landfills, we're like, what? And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm sorry I said anything.
Yeah, cool. Does it fit? And do I like the cloth? That's
exactly.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, for some guys, it's, am I going to get laid? Am I going to get money? Am I going to feel good? What is it going to do for me? I don't care what it did to somebody else. I care about what it's going to do for me. And you may not agree with those stances that they have, but again, that's what they want, and it's your job to serve them. For some people, it's, I want the most exclusive suit that I can get. I don't care what it is. I sold last year a $12,000 tuxedo to a guy. His daughter's wedding was, I believe, over $1 million. It was his last daughter to get married. It was super special. His old tuxedo it didn't fit, heavily padded, like boxy shoulder, notch lapel. It looked awful on him. I mean, this guy's like, he's in great shape. He's, I think, consistently like right out of 40 regular. Off the rack stuff fits him really well. I'm like, you need to look good in a tuxedo. That's like a 42 long from like 18 years ago. You need to update that. And all he knew and really wanted to know is like, I want something that's going to be nice to commemorate this moment and that I can wear to other events. And for him, he had that to spare. I mean, it ended up being about like, I think about a $30,000 sale. But for him, it wasn't about the money because he's not worried about that. I've seen his lifestyle. I know the people he hangs out with. It's a lifestyle that I'll never be a part of. But for him, that added value to him. And it wasn't just because, oh, I know the kind of car that he drives. I know his net worth, so I'm going to show this to him. I gave him the opportunity, but that was something that added value to him. Because if you sell something to someone and it doesn't add value, you've lost them in general. And they're not going to come back as a client.
Yeah. You got to have the right relationships, or
Yep.
what are you even doing?
Exactly. So what else is new in the world of Primo? I mean, what's coming down the pipeline? I mean, we're in. So today is July 6th. I don't know. We're going to post this, but today's July 6th.
Probably post it tonight.
True. We're going to go, and then within the next month. We'll be at, the Chicago Collective. What's coming down the pipeline for fall for Primo? I mean, what are some things that you're excited about within the next 3 to 6 months?
3 to 6 months.
Outside of making money.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. I mean, so just so that people here know, not really with Primo, but with my trip to Africa coming up here soon for our church thing, my goal is to get us as sure-footed with our team as possible, because I'll be gone off the grid for about 10 days.
Okay.
Usually I come back and I get sick, so probably closer to like 14 days.
Nice.
And this will be our first time remaining open for this trip. So this will be my third trip. Both times have closed the store, and we just did pretty much like a 2-week closure. This will be the first time with me being gone, no contact to me. Well, there might be some contact, but it'll be so limited that it's not going to be useful. So that's kind of the big push. Because also our sales guy in Pittsburgh is going to be gone during that time as well for his wedding. So we have to make sure that Primo Pittsburgh is still able to be serviced while Pittsburgh Erie. It's a new town we're starting. Primo Erie is also remaining open, because one of the most rewarding things about having a business and hiring people is on your day off, taking a look at the reports and seeing that the business made money and you weren't there. So this will be the biggest test of how much money can we make and Lewis not even be able to be talked to. Because I have a very sneaky suspicion that if we make a good amount of money while I'm gone, I might be gone more often. If I can leave for 10 days and nobody knows that I was gone, I might leave for a month next time.
Yeah.
And if it still keeps coming in, I might leave for 6 months. Who knows? I'll start a whole other business.
You and I talked about this today. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Just wanted to add to this. So we hired a new guy who does part-time. He's going to school for at least another year and a half. And the first, about 6 to 8 months of his career with us here at the shop, he was just so hesitant in regards to sales. And we had kept, not like, we weren't mad at him. We were just like, dude, you could be making so much more money. We are like throwing you high, slow lob softball pitches, and you're still choosing to bunt or even not swing. Like, what's going on? And what I love about him is that he was so worried about, I don't want to say anything that's going to ruin a relationship with somebody. And so he was thinking himself into inactivity. He was overthinking himself into inactivity. And we're like, I appreciate that, dude, but we've been around since 1970. There's not one thing that you can say that's going to shut us down. And if it is, that's going to be impressive. Exactly. None of us are. But today, like, I had been talking to him about UPT. And if, for those of you who don't know, but if you're listening to this, you probably do know, UPT is units per transaction. And we want him to add pieces to the transaction that adds value to the client and also adds dollars into his bank account. So he and I had a conversation once about navy blazer. Like, dude, how many pants can you sew with a navy blazer? And he's like, well, gray. Yeah, that's one. What else? Khaki, olive, denim, dark brown, light and dark. And so, like, there were so many pants that he added to this, and I'm like, okay, add some shirts, add all this, and it basically ended up being like a 12 UPT sale, which is a really good sale. And I'm like, add shirts, add ties, add belts, like all this other stuff. And he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. I said, yeah, you've got to think about all the pieces that go together. One jacket that goes with all this other stuff. Well, one guy came in and he's like, I'm looking for a navy blazer. And my eyes get wide and I just look at him and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything, but I just want to step in and be like, oh, what are you going to do? And also right now, I don't know what's going on, but we're really heavy in sportswear. I mean, this last month we got clobbered. We're not selling sportswear well. So that's something I've got to figure out going into market. But he was looking at some other pieces and he's like, oh, we just started the sale. Here, let me show you some dress shirts. Shows him some dress shirts. And then he goes, here, we've got our non-denim 5 pockets on sale for 50% off. Ends up selling him 2. I think he sold him like 3 ties, 2 pocket squares. It ended up being like 9 units, $1,900 overall. And I'm just going, and I just held back and I'm like, dude, I am so proud of you. And he's constantly like, shout out to Aiden if you're listening to this. I doubt you are, but shout out if you are. He's just like, dude, I wouldn't be here without you and Patrick and, you guys hyping me up. And I'm going, man, we spent a lot of time hyping up Aiden. He's a little bit more of an introvert. So Patrick and I are a bit more extroverted. So it's a lot easier for us to just be a bit more, I don't know if gregarious is the right word, but just to be a bit more just kind of out there with people and be a bit more interactive. And it's harder for him. But all of that being said, is he's been pushing more and more, and he's gotten a lot of bigger sales recently. And it's so cool. Like, whenever he's by himself, we leave him until he asks us to come in. In this last sale, I think that was his biggest UPT. It wasn't his biggest sale, but it was the biggest UPT. And I wasn't there outside of like, are you going to show him pants? He's like, yeah, man, I'm going to show him pants. I was like, all right. Excuse me. Let me step back.
Asked.
But it was just so cool to see, like, he's not my protege. I mean, he's more like Patrick's, but I'm there to encourage him being the shop manager and just making sure everyone's taken care of. Like, he did that himself. And you kind of see it's like, I mean, my son's not at this point yet, but it's like they're riding their bike without training wheels. And it's just so cool. It's like, dude, you got this. I don't have to do anything. You've got this. So it's such a proud moment. Like, as a, someone in leadership, a prospective business owner, like you're seeing your team succeed and win. And that's just so encouraging. And that's so cool to see.
Yeah, 100%. I get so much more of a joy out of my team doing well on something. Like our tailor, she just sold a lady on a dress. Well, it's like a skirt and vest set. And it's the most expensive custom thing that she makes it herself, actually, at her sewing machine. It was the most expensive piece that she sold to date to a customer. and I was just like so freaking excited. I was just like, let's go.
That's awesome.
That she was able to close that. And hopefully this will be a customer that'll buy many more of them to come. So it's like we've been watching her develop and get in front of people to try and sell her product for like 4 years now. And it's just like traction.
If you don't mind me asking, how expensive is that piece?
So for the vest and skirt, it was $1,100.
That's awesome. Good for her.
I know.
That's great.
She killed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say anything else you got before we land this plane, Austin?
So anybody who's following us, really what we want this podcast to be about, I mean, with our, our other social media platforms, that's where the tricks and tips and everything are. This podcast is more for the people who maybe are a little bit nerdy, but if you're wanting to get in the industry, we want to tell you from young guys in the industry how we can help you view things in a slightly different perspective and encourage you, because we're going to be completely honest. It's not easy, and it's a grind. I mean, personally for me, like kind of, the day in the life, which I'm surprised we didn't actually get into it, but the day in the life for me, I usually get at the shop between 8:30 and 9, and sometimes I don't leave until about like 6 or 7 o'clock. That is not a 6-7 joke. I want to clarify right now. I hate that joke. I'm not going to make a 6-7 joke.
No one was thinking until you said it. So
I just had to.
Did just make a 6-7 joke.
No, I didn't intentionally make a 6-7 joke.
You most certainly did, because you stopped and referenced 6-7, hoping somebody would be like, ha ha ha, not a 6-7 joke. So
it's not even hoping. It's just the understanding that that's going to happen.
Yeah, but you made a joke about it not being a joke.
It wasn't even a joke. It was a statement
like,
saying
not
that's
a 6-7 joke. We know you laughed you thought it was a joke.
Okay. Anyway.
It's an anti-6-7 joke.
You completely derailed me. Where was I?
It's okay. Landing the plane.
Landing the plane. Anyway, this is something that takes a lot of time and effort. Sometimes it's a lot of late nights. I've stayed at the shop until maybe about 9:30 or 10. I've gotten to the shop around like 7:30 a.m. to pick up something, to drive out 20-30 minutes away to make the delivery, to come back and be back at the store before we open. That's part of the service. It's part of who we are. And being a small staff, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. And I don't say that as poor me. No, I love it. And it's enjoyable. It's fun. I do enjoy getting to serve people, and I do enjoy getting a sneak peek into other people's lives that let's be honest, we're never going to live the majority of our clients' lives, because they've got a completely different lifestyle than we do. Yeah. And that's okay. But when we build a relationship, they'll welcome us in. Hey, my son's graduating from college. Come hang out with us. And you walk in and you're like, dude, I had no idea you lived in a mansion. You're like, yeah, let me show you my private wine cellar that's worth $14 million. And you're going,
excessive.
Huh? Sir, your house isn't even worth that much. Like, what's going on? That's not been my personal experience. I'm just saying. There's some people out there like that. Anyway, regardless. It's such a special industry, and it's so beautiful that you should consider getting into it, because there's a lot of shops that could use the next step, and they don't have a next step. I mean, Lewis is a perfect example of a place that he could have gone to, and the business owner didn't want to have a conversation with him. And he went out and did his own thing. And what's going to happen to that business? It's probably going to end. And that's unfortunate, because that business was around for, you said 100, 200 years? What was it?
Like 180-ish.
Almost 200 years. And it's going to die. Like, that is so sad.
Tragic.
Unfortunately. But anyway,
let us
inspire you and encourage you.
Hopefully to be here for every guy that's had to put up with let me go talk to my wife objection, or had an item come in at the wrong time, or past the deadline that you needed it to, or not even the right fabric that you've ordered for a gentleman, to also the moments of hitting a new personal record on a month. Those guys that have been going through that daily grind that we go through every single day. running and managing our stores, it can be isolating. I'm very thankful to have found you very early on, Austin, and just to have somebody to just be like, dude, that day sucked balls.
Yep.
And then also to be able to call and be like, dude, this was the best day of sales ever. So having that has been super helpful. So hopefully if there's a way that we can help give that to guys that maybe in their small town, they're the only men's store, the one stand in a one stoplight town that doesn't have anybody to talk to, because every other guy doesn't really care, doesn't really know what you're going through. But also from a very personal standpoint for me is just on the business side of owning a business. There's so many things that you can relate to on a regular basis that is universal across industries. That is just like employees not showing up on time, payroll coming at the worst possible time, like bank accounts vanishing with money and not knowing where you spent it all. And like you were mentioning, really late nights wondering, okay, are we going to make it through this? Hopefully this podcast can be a little bit of levity, a little bit of fun, but also some encouragement for people who are right there with us in the trenches.
Yeah. And I hope, I mean, we hope obviously for big numbers being in sales, you're like, man, I'd love a huge number. But there's not going to be a lot of people who are probably going to listen to this. And we hope that there are. But if you are listening to this, I mean, understand that like we're two young guys intentionally being in this industry. That is not easy.
One younger than the other by a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, you tiny little baby. There's a.
You said that like you liked it.
That was weird. So, it's an industry that's very beautiful, and it's an industry that we want to be a point of encouragement, because I mean we've even gone to trade shows, and there are reps, store owners who've gone like, "Dude, I love your podcast," and we're going, I haven't recorded in 4 years. And you still listen to that?
This episode is for everybody who has been telling us, when are you starting your podcast up again?
Yeah. Not to sound too generic, but shout out to everybody.
Yeah, all 10 of you. Thank you.
Exactly. So, anyway, Lewis, why don't you land us this plane?
Well, no, I mean,
Lewis, why don't you land this plane?
Thank you, everybody, for listening, for being here. I hope this episode was entertaining at the very least, and we look forward to having you guys on the journey with us as we try and revive this podcast. But yeah, you're listening to the Menswear Mindset. I'm Lewis, and my co-host over here, Austin. Sayonara.
That's it. Thank you.
That's it. Bye.
That's it. Bye.